Hey guys, Wilson here for you. It's another one of my weekend videos. I only did one last week, so I'm one behind. So I really need to do three this weekend. We'll see though. I for sure have Elton John ready for you now. Get this centered a little bit. I don't have any big deluxe box sets for you to show. I used to have the one that the Elton John box set that came out in the early '90s, but I think I traded that in to some record store. But anyways, I got all of his CDs for the first 10 years from 69 to 79. So I think those are his glory years anyway. In fact, not that 69 or 79 are among his glory years, but you know what I'm saying, the 70s mostly. So let's begin. 1969, we had Empty Sky, which is it's all right. This is Elton was in early on the singer-songwriter era, which I really probably think starts in 1970. With the success of James Taylor's Sweet Baby James. But I don't know. There was always Dylan was always the major singer-songwriter of the 60s, and as we all know. Elton does not write the lyrics. Bernie Taupin does, even from the very beginning here on this Empty Sky album. This is an okay record. I wish there was some great stuff on here. Skyline Pigeon's kind of famous. The bonus tracks, Lady Samantha, All Across the Havens. It's okay. I know that there are people who have kind of like a cult around this record, but I just think he made so many better albums. I've never really been able to get behind it, and I don't play it that much. In 1970, though, Elton John is a different story. Now, I'm going to be using, these are like the standard remasters on Rocket. Yeah. You get the whole album remastered, decent sound quality, you get bonus tracks. I do have other things here like, audiophile gold discs and surround sound discs I'll show you. But for the most part, I think I'm going to be dealing with these discs. Elton John's a good album. Your Song is like to him what Maybe I'm Amazed is to Paul McCartney. Both came out the same year. Easy to Turn to, Take Me to the Pilot is one of his early classics. 60 Years On, Border Song didn't Aretha Franklin do that number? King Must Die, and then you get Bad Side of the Moon as a B-side in Grey Seal, Rock and Roll Madonna. This is a much better album, a much better CD, but the bonus tracks than Empty Sky. So this is the first one I really recommend. But even better that year is his first classic, Tumbleweed Connection. Came out by the end of 1970. It's kind of like a concept album that he and Bernie put together about Americana and the Old West. I like everything on here. This is a really good singer-songwriter record. Ballad of a Well-Known Gun, Come Down in Time, Country Comfort, Rod Stewart did that one. Son of Your Father, My Father's Gun, Where to Now, St. Peter, Love Song is a great one. Amarina was in Dog Day Afternoon. I think that's the first time I ever heard this song growing up. Because I saw that, when it came out in 75, I would have been 10. Talking Old Soldiers and his great one song, Burn Down the Mission, which was a stomping live number. Every track is good. If you're looking for an early Elton John, no hits either. That's the surprising thing about this. So pick it up. Then Madman Across the Water is in 1971. This is a great favorite of a lot of people. I'll tell you what about this album. I think that Tumbleweed Connection is a more consistent record than this, but this may have higher highs. I said it a lot, when I'm comparing records, because it's true, Side 1 is classic. Side 2 is pretty good. It starts with Tiny Dancer, Leave On, classic Elton John songs everyone knows. Raise Your Face is a great deep cut. So is Madman Across the Water itself. I used to hear that on the radio. And then you get to side 2, and they're just pretty good. Like I said, Indian Sunset, Holiday Inn, Rotten Peaches, All the Nasties, and Goodbye are not great songs to me, but they're not bad either. Really good use of Paul Buckmaster's strings, though, on this record. I think that of all the albums that Paul did the strings to, I think this is my favorite one. And What I got to show you here. Oh, you know what? I've been passing these up. Okay, so you guys know that I'm into surround sound, right? Elton's got a pretty good little list of really cool sounding records in surround. This is Tumbleweed Connection. Sounds great. This is Madman. Sounds great. So, you know, the creme de la creme of early Elton John albums in 70 and 71. This is the, depends upon where you are in the world, it's either the 17-11-70 album or the 11-17-70 album. You know, Americans put the month first in the day. In Europe, it's the day first. You know what, guys? This is practically my fave live Elton album, especially for the early stage of his career. There's various ways you can get there. There's like double disc sets where you can get the whole. This was like a radio show, you know, where they recorded it on the radio and then, or recorded like in a studio and then they broadcast on the radio. He's really playing well. He's really vivacious. I think he had cut his hands or something and there was blood on the keyboards. But it's just 3 guys, I think, right? Oh, I can't see on here, but yeah. Really long version of Burn Down the Mission. I do recommend this. So if you've never heard it and you want to hear early Elton John, I think it's just piano, bass, and drums, if memory serves. I played this within the last couple months, and I was, you know, I was impressed still. So get this one if you like early Elton. This is, I'm going to throw this in here too because, you know, because I have it, I bought it. He did a soundtrack to a movie called Friends in 71, and this is the only place you can get that album on CD. It also has a bunch of, you know, other tracks, which were like 45s, B-sides, stuff like that. So it's like an odds and sods collection of things which were released at the time, as far as I know. And, you know, this is one place to get them, but it's the only place to get the Friends sound, which is, you know, not the greatest in the world, but that song was really good. And I think it was a top 40 hit, Friends. You know, I remember hearing it. So it's called Elton John Rare Masters. It's I don't know if it's in print anymore, but I don't think it's that expensive. But anyways, there you are on the Polydor label. See that? All right, so get that out of the way before we're done with 1971. Another early classic is Honky Chateau. Now this is from, you know, the era before he really burst out huge with Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, and he became this pop phenom when he was still pretty much like a piano-based singer-songwriter, making albums like this, like Tumbleweed Connection, like Madman. This is strong again. This is consistent. This is better, and this is more in terms of the quality of Tumbleweed Connection. I like the whole thing. Honky Cat, huge hit. Mellow, I think I'm going to kill myself. Susie, Rocket Man, another huge hit. Salvation, Slave, Amy, Mona Lisa's, and Mad Hatter is one of his great deep cuts from the early 70s. And Hercules, I like virtually everything on here. So probably really as strong an album as Tumbleweed, and I'm going to say better, in my estimation, than Madman. And do I have that one? No, you know what? I think that he does have a surround sound version of this. I just don't have it. I thought I did. Oh well, maybe it's down there and I just didn't pick it up. But anyways, this is the low fidelity version, right? I love those old MoFi discs. Okay, moving on to, I think that was his only album in 72. Moving on to 73, my favorite one. Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. As anyone can tell you, this is his first double LP and his best. There's filler on this record, but I'll tell you, the last time I played this, which was within the last year, I loved it. I loved it all. I even loved the filler. Now, this is an album I've had my whole life. I don't think I had it in 1973. I would have been 8 years old, but not too long after that. Again, it's cut for cut. This is as strong an album as he made. It's one of the great double LPs of the 70s. Everybody growing up owned this. By the way, everyone had Elton John albums when we were kids. You know, he was as ubiquitous in people's record collections as a Zeppelin record or something, you know. Funeral for a Friend used to play that on the radio, the whole long version. Candle in the Wind got, you know, extra oomph when Princess Diana died. Bang the Jets, one of his most popular numbers. And then Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Those are the first 4 songs on the album. They were all played to death on the radio. This song has no title. The LP version of Gray Seal, which was on a 45 before that, Jamaica Jerk Off's all right. I've seen that movie too. Is good. Sweet Painted Lady, The Ballad of Danny Bailey, that one's all right. I like Dirty Little Girl. I like Elton when he rocks, by the way. All the Girls Love Alice is another great one. Your Sister Can't Trust But She Can Rock and Roll, that was a radio hit. Saturday It's All Right for Fighting was a big hit. Roy Rogers is good. Social Disease is good. And then it ends with Harmony, I think one of his great deep cuts. Yeah, I mean, there are certainly songs on here which aren't as good as other ones as you're going to have on any double LP, but very strong. I mean, it's close to a 5-star. What the hell? I'm going to give this a 5-star. This, Tumbleweed Connection, maybe Honky Chateau. I have to play it again. All right. If that weren't enough, if one double album in 73 weren't enough, Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player. Now, this one's okay. You know, like any early Elton John record, you're going to have fans. It's going to have adherents. I think it's okay. I think it's got a lot of great songs on it, and then some that are just all right. Daniel, of course, is one of his big numbers. I remember reading one time that he had chose Elton not to sing a verse of that, or that there was another verse to Daniel which explained the song better. Why is he leaving, you know, that kind of stuff. But Elton chose not to sing it, and so he liked leaving that little bit out, so there's a bit of a mystery to it. It's one of his better numbers anyway. Teacher, I Need You is good. Elderberry Wine, I like that one. Blues My Baby and Me, Midnight Creeper. These songs are okay, though. Have Mercy on the Criminal is pretty good. I'm Gonna Be a Teenage Idol, I like that one. Texas Love Song. Crocodile Rock is one of his great numbers, and High Flying Bird. It's actually a better album than I thought. Screw You, I think that one's on the Past Masters. I have that song somewhere else. Jackrabbit, Whenever You're Ready, We'll Go Steady Again, and Skyline Pigeon, the piano version. Good bonus cuts. A solid record. Just not, in my estimation, one of his best. It's still good, though. Elton could really do no wrong in the first half of the 70s. Right into 76, probably. Caribou is a record that, in my estimation, when I was a kid, I remember thinking it was half good. I like it better now, you know, because I'm older and all this stuff is viewed through the rosy tinged glasses of nostalgia. But at the time, I thought half of this works. The other half, he's coasting. Bitch Is Back is one of his great rockers. Pinky, Grimsby. I do like these numbers, actually. What else do I like on here? Because I can't keep reading every single one. This Hostage is all right. Stinker. Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me is one of his great ballads. Ticking. I remember I had a girlfriend that used to like that song. And then you got Pinball Wizard, you know, from the Tommy soundtrack as a bonus track. Except in Christmas was used to hear, they hear that here in America. They play that every year for the seasonal time. So it's actually, you know, probably as good as Don't Shoot Me anyway. Which is to say, I'm not going to say it's one of his best, but it's good. It's good, solid Elton. If you had this growing up, you'll like it. Okay. You want to know what the biggest selling Elton John album was ever, actually, as far as I know? The first Elton John's Greatest Hits. This is the DCC Steve Hoffman version. Listen to this. Your Song, Daniel, Honky Cat, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting, Rocket Man, Bang the Jets, Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me, Border Song, Crocodile Rock. And they even give Candle in the Wind as a bonus track on here. That's all killer, no filler. We had, growing up, his second Greatest Hits album, too, from 77 or 78. Also really good. I don't have that here, you know, because I've got all the songs. Well, the only reason I have this one is because it's DCC. But I think there may even be a DCC version of Greatest Hits Volume 2. But anyways, that's, again, everybody had that record when I was a kid. So, yeah, Elton John, I'm definitely going down memory lane here. 75, another hella good year. I mean, did anyone work as hard as Elton John at this point? One of his all-time great albums. Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy, a little kind of concept album he made with Bernie about their early years together, struggling and then, you know, writing together. Cut for Cut, this is one of his best ones. This is his strongest album since since Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Captain Fantastic, Tower of Babel, whatever you want to say. Bitter Fingers. Oh, well, I'm not going to read the whole thing again. Yeah, so far, ones I'm really recommending to you are Tumbleweed Connection, Madman, somewhat, because there's some filler on there. Honky Chateau, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, and this. Those 5. And if you want a live album, the 11, 17, 70. All right? And, yes, I do. Oh, I am forgetting these again. Here's my surround sound mix, DVD of Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Here's my one for Captain Fantastic. Again, that's like they seem to be doing all the best Elton John albums in surround. Okay. Before the end of the year, we had Rock of the Westies. Pretty good. Some say this is his last really good one. I'm going to go with, Captain Fantastic being his last classic album. But this is still pretty good. Again, I should just pick the highlights. Island Girl, I love that song. I remember when the radio debuted that song in 75. Grow Some Funk of Your Own is pretty good. I feel like a bullet in the gun of Robert Ford. That's like the Jesse James, right? Anyways, strong, but he made better albums. Probably about on the level of Caribou and Don't Shoot Me. All right? So, now, in 76, another big year for him because he releases so much material. He does his second double album, Blue Moves. Now, Blue Moves, there's like a resurgence of popularity in the right there, I guess, in this record because they're looking for like the last really solid Elton John album. I'm not sure if this is it. It's a double LP, so you are allowing for certain filler. It's well recorded, but it's just not killer. You know, I mean, when you compare this to Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, there's no comparison. I like Rock of the Westies better than this, but it's not bad either. You know, this is like the last album I think he made in the 70s, which matters, if that makes sense. That was still a big year for him. Don't Go Breaking My Heart, was his big hit that year with Kiki D. We didn't notice at the time that he was about to be on the decline. All right, so it's good enough. I'll put that way. What I do like though is the expanded version of Here and Now, his second live album of the decade. This is material recorded in 1974 at 2 different venues. It's now a double disc set, which is solid. He's not in as good a voice as he was on the previous live album, but this also includes his little, 3-song medley or portion of his show with John Lennon at Madison Square Garden. So it's, I'm going to say I like this album. So these are his 2 releases from 76. This was a double. This is now a double CD. This is his last important year, I think, in terms of album releases. In the 70s, he would do good work in the 80s. And, it's not like he sucked after the 70s. Okay, he stops working with Bernie Taupin after Here and Now, at least for a while. I mean, Bernie would return to the fold eventually, but there's no Elton John release in 1977, which is the only year in the 70s, right? Yeah, that there's no Elton John album. We get A Single Man in 78. This is an average album. I don't dislike it. When I play it, Ego. Oh, that's right. Ego is a bonus track. Part-Time Love's pretty good, but it's not it's just okay. He's working with a different lyricist. I'm sorry, whose name escapes me. But I don't know if that's what makes the songs not as memorable. The songs themselves just aren't that catchy. You know, he'd been doing it for a while now. He's immensely successful. He doesn't have to prove himself anymore. This happens in the career of virtually any musician, songwriter, whatever. It's just okay. Again, as with any Elton John album of the 70s, except possibly this one, we'll get to it in a second. You do have fans of this record who want to, you know, argue its importance. I'm just saying, for me, this is when I noticed he wasn't what he once was. I think by taking 77 off, he could have come back with a better album in 78. I remember when, was it Part-Time Love that was the hit off this album? Anyways, whatever the hit off this album was, I'm pretty sure it was that song. I remember a DJ playing this, you know, at the time saying, oh, this is from a man, this is his new 45, you know, who's been gone for too long, you know, and here he is, Elton John with Part, and it's like, it's just, you know, it's a decent song, but it's not one of his best. So anyways, A Single Man. And then we have, yeah, the worst album that I'm going to show you on this show, his dance album, his disco number, you know, record, Victim of Love. He took on this project, you know, knowing he was going to be doing an album of dance songs. In 79, which is the year this album was released, you know, disco was probably, it had already peaked in 77, 78. It was starting to go down, but it was still kind of everywhere in 79. I don't think he should have done this record. I think it was ill-advised. You know, this was a time when he should have been trying harder to come back and make a really strong record, you know, like he had done not that many years prior, you know. But so, you know, we are ending this show with the worst record of the video. But Elton John, so to wrap things up, what have I not said about him? Yeah, he was everywhere at that time. He was all over the radio. He was, you know, to like that era, what, like, I don't know, Phil Collins was in the 80s with all the Genesis songs on the radio and the Phil Collins solo stuff. So, but Elton John was a better songwriter than Phil Collins. What's that one from 83? God, I can't think of the title. That's a pretty good album. And then, funny how I think of years before I think of album titles. And then songs from the West Coast. There's other ones he did like in the 90s or very early 2000s, which are not bad. But I think in terms of his strongest era, it was 70 to 75. Even 76, if you want to include Blue Moves, you know, which is debatable. But 70 to 75, that's where you're going to find most of the great Elton John albums. So, anyways, hope you enjoyed it. I've been thinking about doing this video for a while now, but I couldn't find a certain CD. But I got them all here now for you. So, Matt, signing off.